Okay, before I start this video, I'd like to start off with a disclaimer because what I say in this video is purely from my experience and also from my research. So if you are unsure of something and you want to confirm it, please research on your own, or you can comment it down below and we can work something out together. But please do not only rely on this one video because it is just my personal experience, not everyone's. So please do your own research as well. Do not rely on just this video. So without further ado, let's move on to the video. Hello everybody. Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Persina Fujimaki, and I guess that's all you need to know for now. So as you can see in the title below, I'm going to be talking about the Stipendium Hungaricum scholarship program today. And I don't want to make the introduction long, so I'm just gonna jump right in. And if you see me looking down, I'm just looking at my notes, so don't mind that. So I think I'm going to start by introducing myself as an applicant. So basically, I studied and graduated from a Japanese public high school. And just to give you a little bit of my stats, I have a 3.2, I think, 3.2, 3.3, 3.2 out of 4.0 GPA, and my TOEFL score is 109 out of 120, and that's what I gave in for my application. And I applied to 2 universities, and I don't feel like saying their names right now, so we're just gonna call them A University and B University. And I applied for their International Business Economics program. Next, I'm going to be talking about what the Stipendium Hungaricum scholarship program is and about their timeline, basically. So while I'm going to explain the Stipendium Hungaricum program, I'm going to include some of the information that was written in their About page, and I'm going to link that About page in the description below. So basically, it is a scholarship program that is funded by the Hungarian government to fund for the education of international students with an excellent academic track record. So this basically means that for the 3 or 4 years that you are going to study in Hungary, depending on your major. So this can be, I think it's from bachelor's to PhD, and I applied for the bachelor's. So your tuition is paid for, and also every month you get a stipend that is just enough for food. So if you want to earn a little bit more and have a little bit more money, you can work. And I also believe that you are provided with either a dorm or an apartment, and I think that's different with each university. And I think it's really great that you don't have to worry about, taking a huge loan just to go to college or university, and you get to attend prestigious colleges and universities in Hungary. And then so the timeline is basically, the deadline is January 15 of your senior year. So if you're a Japanese student studying in Japan, so you become a third year in April, and then it would be the next January 15 is the deadline. And then around March, I received my letter, March 2 or 3. You will receive news about being nominated or not. And then like May, I also received this May 1 or 2, you will be conditionally accepted. And then mid-June is the final decision. So what conditionally acceptable or what conditionally accepted means is that the university that you applied to has accepted you, but the final decision is made by Tempus, so you're gonna have to wait until mid-June to see if you really get the scholarship. So there are many examples where students have been conditionally accepted, but they were not accepted in the final kind of decision, so they were not able to get a scholarship. And some universities, depending on how you negotiate, does accept you as a self-funding student, and then you can apply in your second year for Stipendium Hungaricum program. So this piece of information is just something that I've heard. It is not my personal experience, and I am sure that it is not all universities from the Stipendium Hungaricum program. So you really have to check with the university you were accepted to, and also research online. Okay, so next I'm going to be talking about why I applied. So I found out about the Stipendium Hungaricum program through a video by Shirakawa Nene, and then it's in Japanese, so if there are any Japanese people here who want to know about that video, I'm gonna link it down below. And then I think from that video, either that or through further research, I found that Japanese students don't have a screening process prior to actually applying for the Stipendium Hungaricum program. So I've heard that other countries, not all of them, I think, do have a screening process before you can actually apply for the Stipendium Hungaricum program, but an advantage for Japanese students is that they can apply immediately. They can apply directly to the Stipendium Hungaricum scholarship program, so I think that's a big advantage, and I think that if there's any Japanese students here, you should totally take it. And the schools that are listed on there are really prestigious, and you can really get a good education. So I do not know which country has a screening process and which country doesn't, so I can't provide that information in this video. So please check what the situation, the screening process situation is like for the country you're from. So next I'm gonna move on to the juicy bits, the mistakes I made. So number one, I'm going to be talking about not researching enough. So during my senior year, I focused on the applications for US colleges and universities. And I kind of thought of it as a backup plan, just in case the US colleges and university plan does not pan out. And that was a huge, huge mistake, because applying to higher education institutions, it takes time, consideration, attention, and also effort. It's not something you should consider as a fallback, especially this Stipendium Hungaricum program. So the consequences from not researching enough are, so I applied to two universities, right? So I'm gonna call them A University and B University. So these two universities take a different number of scholars from the Stipendium Hungaricum program. And my mistake is not looking at those numbers. So there is the A University, which takes, depending on how many applicants are there in the year, they take random numbers, and then B University, they only take 10 students. So if you want to maximize your chance, choose a university that takes a lot of students in. I've seen universities that take in about 80 or 100 students, so make sure you choose that. Next up, I'm going to be talking about my motivation letter. So before I talk about that, I'm going to talk about how you can apply to the Stipendium Hungaricum program. So there is something called the DreamApply System, and I will leave a link of that down below, and that is where you write your online application. So there is a place where you can browse institutions, and then you can see what kind of universities there are, and then what kind of courses that they offer and where you can apply. And then so you choose two universities from there, and then you start your application process. So they're basic information, your name, your passport number, where you live, and all the basic stuff. And then the only thing that is you have to work on is that there is a motivation letter. And I am not going to read my motivation letter in this video, but if you guys want to see what I wrote, please leave that down in the comments. I will make a video of that if people want to hear. And so the mistake I made for the motivation letter is that I told you earlier that I did not research much. So for the application, filling out the application, I was not aware that there was an actual guideline that you can follow. So I can't show you it now because I already gave in my application and that guideline is not there anymore. But when you start your application, on the top I think there would be application guideline or something like that. And then if I can find it, I'll leave a link in the description. And so basically it tells you how to fill each and every little box, and also, this is very important, it tells you the format of the motivation letter. So what I thought, because I was focusing on US colleges and universities, I thought it was gonna be some sort of personal statement. And I've watched other videos talking about people talking about their motivation letter, and then how they wrote why they wanted to do this, blah blah blah. So I thought it was gonna be a more straightforward kind of personal statement, if that makes sense, or like a more straightforward why this university, because in American colleges you like put a little bit of story in it, but I was thinking of maybe because it's Hungary, it needs to be more straightforward, and that's what I did. And I believe that there's a 4,000 character limit for a motivation letter, and then I think it's different with each university, but I did until that. So if it was 4,000, I did like 3,900 characters, and then I finished everything. And then on January 12, which is like only 3 days before the deadline, I found the guideline and I didn't read it. And then when I read it through, I found that the motivation letter, of course, it was so obvious, it should be in a letter format. So there should be a date, there should be Dear This University, and then there should be like an introduction. There should be an introduction. So my name is this, and I am applying for your something something course, and this is my motivation letter, something like that. I don't really remember what it was. And then you start out your letter. And then after that, once you've written your actual motivation thing, you write at the end, thank you for your time, I hope I am accepted, something, and then I'm waiting for your reply, or something like that. And then you have to write respectfully your name, your full name. And then so on the last minute, I had to add the introduction, the date, and then also the last part, and also respectfully my name. And that took so many characters, so I had to like revise everything and then shorten it. So don't make the same mistake as I did. Read the guidelines properly. Next, I'm going to be talking about the tests. So once you get nominated, I believe that you are supposed to take a test depending on your major. So in my case, I took International Business Economics, and I had to take a mathematics test for one school, and for another school I had to take a mathematics test and also an interview. So it depends on your major whether you will be requiring a test. So I think for one of the universities I applied to, for the international relations major, you just needed an interview. So be sure you know what tests you're going to take before you apply. So for example, there might be some people around the world that want to be a biology major, but they do not have a science background. So meaning in high school they just did humanities, which sometimes is the case for Japanese high schools. For Japanese high schools, I'm just gonna give you an example. There's something called bunke and rike. So rike is like more sciencey, and then bunke is more like just Japanese language, English, history, so that kind of course. There's some courses like that. And then so there are some people, I also wanted to take biology first, but I found out about the tests and I do not have a science background, so I gave up on being a biology major for university and then just focused on international business economics. So people who are like me and they are basically more centered on humanities during high school, then don't take any sciencey majors, because there's going to be a test, and if you fail that, you won't get conditionally acceptable the status. So yeah, that's just some advice. I think it's best not just to focus on the things that you are good at rather than trying something new, because I don't think it's easy to change your major, but that depends on every school. So yeah. So that is all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed and I hope you got something out of it. Please comment down below if you have any questions or any suggestions on what I should do next, on what I should upload next. Like if you still have any questions about a part of the Stipendium Hungaricum program application process, write down below. I'll maybe include that in my next video. And also, if you guys want to know what I wrote in my motivation letter, write that down below as well, because I will be reading it and I'll think if I should, you know, upload it or not. If I do upload it, I'd like to put the disclaimer here and also in the next video that please do not copy it. It is not a template, and it does not guarantee that you will pass with that kind of motivation letter. I just wanted to give people an idea of what kind of elements that you can put in your motivation letter so that it is a motivation letter. So yeah, so feel free to comment down below. I am so excited to read them. So I guess that's the end of the video. Thank you. Bye.